400 societies which we have under the federation, and we have been kind of campaigning or canvassing with the government to make these lands freehold, so that once and for all we are done away with the difficulties that we face with the government. And the difficulties are many. Say for every transfer of membership, or they were asking for even rentals payment, they have to ask for permission, mortgage, redevelopment. All these issues are being controlled by the government. And it is a very difficult task for us to follow with the government for these issues. And that is what we have been campaigning. And that has been our main task, basically. Coming to the topic, that is the collector land issues. There are two types of land. One is called the lease land, another is called the occupancy land. Most people feel that the lands granted by the government are lease lands. And that this concept of occupancy lands is very difficult for people to understand. Or most people are not aware of the concept of occupancy land. So let me go to what is called occupancy land. Occupancy lands are basically, in short, ownership lands. Now, for example, what it means? It means that the landholder is in possession of the land. It is in possession of the land, and it is a legal definition. In the Maharashtra Land Revenue Code, in the legal definition, it is specified that occupancy land is basically the holder of land. And who is the holder of land? The holder of land is basically defined as one who has got conveyance deed or payment receipts. These are the ways on which we will define what is called occupancy land. Now, for example, if supposing, how do you differentiate between a lease land and a occupancy land? We understand lease lands are basically different. It is given by somebody and still the ownership rests with the lessor, and the lessee is only occupying the land. Whereas a occupancy land, there is no concept of a lessor and lessee. So in the property card, when you go and see, what you will see is that in a lease land, the lessor will be specified as the government, and the lessee will be specified as the party, society, or the individual member, or so on. Whereas in occupancy land, there is no such thing. Directly, the name of the party will come. So if you want to decide, if you want to find out whether your land is occupancy land or lease land, then you have to go to the property card and find out whether it is a occupancy land or lease land. Or you go to the agreement. In the agreement with the collector, the wording that is used is occupancy or occupant. If you find that the words are being used is occupancy or occupant, then your land is an occupancy land. I hope this concept is now clear with everybody. Now, in occupancy land, there are two types of lands. One is called the occupancy class 1 land, or otherwise we are calling it as freehold land. Now, this concept of freehold land is easy to understand, but if I say occupancy class 1 land, again it creates confusion. The other type of land in occupancy is called occupancy class 2 land. In occupancy class 2 land, there are certain restrictions that are being put up by the government. In occupancy class 1 land, freehold land, they are completely private lands, and they were never under the government. So they have been defined as occupancy class 1. But whereas in occupancy class 2 lands, the lands were previously owned by the government, and then they gave it to the society or individuals, and they put certain restrictions. Now, because of these restrictions, these are called occupancy class 2 lands. Now, we have to understand what is the purpose of these restrictions. The purpose of the restrictions was to ensure that the land is properly utilized. If, for example, the land is given to a society and the promoter sells it to some individual builder or something, or does not develop the land in, say, 5 years or 10 years, then the government has given a restriction that you cannot sell it without my permission. Or the government has put a restriction that you have to develop the land within 3 years. Now, supposing you are not able to develop the land in 3 years, or if you develop in 5-6 years, then there is a condonation facility. But the purpose of the land for which it has been given should not be defeated. That was the basic purpose for which occupancy class 2 lands have been designed. These are the two things that we come to. There have been, as I told you, various problems that have come because of these restrictions. Over a period of time, the restrictions became more and more. And the government started saying that we are basically the owner of the land and that everything you should do with our permission. Now, what happened is in 1957, they came out with a very draconian GR, which is called what is called unearned income. And unearned income is basically income that you don't earn. That is, supposing you buy a plot of land, and if you buy it for 1 lakh, and then after some time it becomes maybe 15 years, 20 years down the line, it becomes 1 crore. Then that income that is being generated just by sitting and not doing anything is called unearned income. So the government made a rule that if you are doing unearned, if you sell the land, then 50% of the profit will be given to us. So it became a problem. So lands which have been sold sometime back. The problem comes with the redevelopment. There was no policy by the government for redevelopment. Actually, we did not ask for policy. We asked for basically freehold. But the government came out with a policy. The policy is also a very difficult policy to meet. The GR is dated 23rd February 2018. It says that all the violations have to be cleared first. And once the violations are cleared, then only you will get the permission for redevelopment. So what are the violations? The violations are if the membership transfer has not been approved, or if you have mortgaged the flat for some person, then that permission has to be taken. If you have not done the original development within 3 years, you have to make payment for that and get it rectified. So that is the issues that are there. So then the second thing is that they said that you have to pay 10% of the ready reckoner rate and 10% of the TDR. Now this is a very high amount that has to be paid, particularly when the market is very bad and the rates are very low. And therefore we feel that this, and after all this, you still become a, what you call the government claim that it is a government land. So supposing you, when you do redevelopment, the additional members that you are getting, those members' approval has to be done by the from the government, and it keeps on going. So it's a kind of a zamindari system that we feel is which is so go to the next slide. So redevelopment is tedious and not advisable by this method. And there is another method, and we have been campaigning with the government.
Yeah, conversion.
So there is another method by which we can do redevelopment. First of all, say the government is insisting that the violations have to be cleared. So we can get the land freehold. We have been following with the government, and they have come out with norms for freehold, which means once you make some payment to the government, it depends on 10%, 15%, 25%, depending upon the type of land. The land becomes completely freely transferable, and once that is there, the claim of the government on the land, saying that it is our land or something like that, is not there. And the sword of the government which hangs over our head is removed once and for all. So there is a gazette notification. Next slide. There is a gazette notification of 8/3/2019 where the government has come out with a policy, and there are 4 broad categories and the slabs for conversion to freehold. So 10% of RR rate, the occupancy is class 2 land and used for residential purpose, and they have paid full premium, which means at the time of the grant of land, you have paid the complete market rate. 10% of the current rate, you can convert it to freehold. The second type of second is 15% of the RR rate if the land is granted to the cooperative society, either on lease or on occupancy, and it is still under the society. The society is still owning the land. And 25% of the RR rate if the land is granted to an individual leaseholder. individual in the sense in distinction to a society. So if the land is given to a society, it is 15%. If it is given to an individual, it is 25% of the RR rate. For commercial and industrial land, the RR rate is 50% of the ready reckoner rate if they want to convert to freehold.
Okay, I just want to repeat what he has said. See, if the society wants to go for redevelopment and without converting into freehold land, then they have to pay 10% of the land rate, ready reckoner rate, as the premium, and it will continue to be the lease right. However, on 8th March 2019, government has come out with the GR wherein lease land now can be converted into freehold land. And in order to do the freehold land, it has been classified into 4 types. The first type is where you are paid 100% and you are a class 2 occupancy. It was given for a residential purpose and there was nothing to be paid. However, now you want to get it freehold, then you have to pay 10% from class 2 to class 1. Then second is, if in case it is a housing society, in that case, you have to pay 15% of the ready reckoner value. And if it is a class 2 occupancy, concession rate is where you have paid the full premium, then also you have to pay 15% if it is a housing society. And 25% of the rate if the land is leasehold land granted for a residential purpose. And last is commercial or industrial, 50% of ready reckoner value.
There is some small addition I want to do. 15% is for societies, whether it is lease or occupancy, and 25% is for individual societies, and 10% is for people who have paid market rate at the time of the grant. Now, before you, so I'll come to the summary that it is advisable that the lands should be converted to freehold and then go for the redevelopment. Now, what is the thing that is required before getting the conversion done? So, all violations have to be so transfer of membership. That is the main issue with all societies. Most societies membership transfers have not been approved by the collector. So this is the main violation. So basically, there are a lot of problems people face with this membership transfer. What has happened is the lands were granted about 50 years back or 40 years back. At the time of the grant, they gave a list of members and the memberships were approved by the collector. But over a period of time, even at that time also, about 50% to 75% members dropped out of the society and new members were added. Some of the societies got the approval from the collector for the additional new members. And some of the societies did not get it because you have to follow with the government, you have to send correspondence. And so that was the issue. If the government it has not approved, then it creates a problem. So the government has come. Say we have been following with the government with the various what you call suggestions or recommendations and trying to ease the problems of members to get it transfers regularized. So let us go to the GR. After summary, there is a GR. So the first GR is of 25/5/2007, on which the current the membership transfer issues are settled. But there have been various modifications to the GR. What are the documentations to be given? Like for example, there is a Form D which prescribes the affidavit. Then the Form E is there basically, which is the application form, and various documents like your agreement, share certificate. If there is a death of the member, then the nomination form to be submitted. All that has to be given to the collector to get the membership approved. So you have to go through this GR of 2007 to understand the documentation that is required. Society resolution is required. So various types of documents are required. So this is the first GR we have to see for this purpose. And from 83, we started putting the condition for these societies. So prior to 83, if you don't have condition, please don't make the societies to sell it to a reserved category or to there was another condition. There's a salary of the member should not, of the incoming member, that is the person who is purchasing, the flat should be less than 20,000 rupees. Now, this is a very difficult condition to meet. Supposing a flat is cost at 1 crore or 1 crore 25 lakhs, it is not possible that the combined income, that is the husband and wife income, to be less than 20,000 rupees. So this first year gives that relief. Even for the societies which have come after 83, if supposing they give an advertisement and there is no buyer for the rate that is which is in the market, then he can sell it to anyone else basically. So this is a big relief. In fact, this is a relief which was given to us after meeting the Chief Minister. We as a federation people met the Chief Minister, and this was the first relief due to our efforts.
Yeah,
now this is a very draconian GR that came. Basically, earlier the transfer fee was very low, and it was about 100 rupees per square foot for suburbs and some 200 rupees for the city. Now this almost doubled the transfer fee if it is taken while taking the approval. So either it is 200 rupees for suburbs or 400 rupees for the city, 200 rupees or 1.5% of the market rate of the agreement value, current value. And if you have not taken approval, then it is 400 rupees and 3%. So, for example, my society, my flat, if for 500 square foot, it would have become 500 rupees. Because of the new GR, it became 1 lakh rupees, and because of 50,000 into 500 into 100, so it becomes 500 into 100, so it becomes 50,000. Now here in this case, it becomes 1 lakh rupees. And since I have not taken approval, it became 2 lakh rupees. So it was a very big increase in the amount. So we almost went on the roads and we demonstrated against the GR. And there was a big issue we created. So there was a relief that was granted. There is another GR, 4/5/2018. Next, 4/5/2018. This GR reduced to some extent the problems which have been of the members who have already sold the flats, and it said 3% of the agreement value. That is, supposing if 20 years back, if the flat is sold for 8 lakh rupees or something like that, so 3% of 8 lakh is 24,000 rupees. So from 2 lakh rupees, it came down to 24,000 rupees. So that was a big reduction in the transfer fee, and this is the main relief that but there is one more problem we are still facing, and that is that original members approval, if they have not taken, it used to get stuck. So they came out with the GR on the same date of 7 July 2017, which gave the power of condonation to the collector. Now this also has created some problem where, supposing the condonation is there, they are asking for all the norms to be satisfied 30 years or 40 years back. So one of the norms is that, supposing your land is, if you have got a flat allotment in say 1970 or 1980, so you can get the approval even if you have not taken the approval that time, you can get the approval. But you have to submit 3 years of salary certificates prior to 1970 or 1980. So for example, you are granted society membership in 1980. So what you have to do is from 77, 78, 79, all the 3 years salary certificates or salary proof you have to give. Now this is a very difficult condition to meet. And there are 4,000 membership transfers which are pending with the collector currently. Now the collector has written to the government, that is the revenue department, and he has asked for relief for this condition. And the GR is expected any time. It has already gone to the finance. From finance, it has gone back to revenue. And after revenue, now this coronavirus has stopped everything. Otherwise, this GR would have come and we could have got relief. There is one more GR that has come. say people who say there is one more condition that is there of the government, that you have to complete the work within 3 years. If your when your land is granted within 3 years, you have to complete the work. But supposing you don't complete the work in 3 years, and what happens if societies don't have occupancy certificate? So then they used to charge very high penalty. Say for example, my society took 6 years time. We pay some penalty to get over. But what about societies which don't have occupancy? So they came out with a norm that if your property assessment billing from municipal corporation is you are paying for that, then the date on which it started will be taken as completion, and so the penalty accordingly will be levied. So most of the societies which did not have occupancy certificate, they got relief through this. So these are various things that have been done. Then recently there was a GR in January which said basically if your flat is given on lease, then in case of lease of flat, earlier they were saying that not lease, leave and license. So there is a distinction between lease and leave and license. Now they are saying that whatever leave and license flats are there, you don't have to pay. Don't have to take any permission, or you have to pay anything. So it is one big burden that is burden that we are relieved of, and this is where we are now. Now there are two things that we are fighting for: the conversion of land premiums, which are 10%, 15%, and 25% for various types of occupancy and lease land, is applicable for Mumbai and rest of Maharashtra. But there is another JR that has come, that is of 3rd March 2019, which is basically Nazul lands of Vidarbha and Amravati. These are lands that come from the Nagpur. These lands they have conversion. The conversion rate is only 5%, and whether it is lease or occupancy, they are saying that only 5% will be charged. So we are saying why this discrimination. In fact, if you see on 2nd or 3rd of March 2019, in the Times of India, my statement is there that the Chief Minister is a Chief Minister of the state and not of Vidarbha and Amravati, and he cannot make such distinction. And so we are fighting for that. There is a recently, we met Aditya Thackeray also in this regard, and Shiv Sena has in their Vachannama promised that for lands for flats less than 1,000 square foot, 5% will be charged for conversion. So we are hoping that this 5% will be given across lease and occupancy lands, and that is what we are working for. I hope people will join in. We are basically a federation. Go to the MLA, MP. Our member of parliament in our area is Poonam Mahajan, and we have worked with her for a long time now. We are going to her, pleading. She is further, putting it with the government. Then the MLA in our area, not only our area, various MLAs, like for example, Mangesh Kudakar, Anil Parab, Amit Satham, Patar Fekar, and so many people have worked for this. And Ashish Shelar. These are the people who have worked, and we have been consistently following with. Recently, we have met Balasaheb Thorat also in this regard.
What is the procedure to convert class 2 to class 1? And what is this class 1 land and what is class 2 land?
I'll come first to the class 1 and class 2 land.
Yeah.
So class 1 land is basically freehold land. Any private land is a freehold land. What is freehold meaning? That you can transfer the land freely without taking any permission from the government. So what you have to do is you sell it you make the agreement, you go to registration, and that's all. But whereas when you sell the land which is a restriction, that is you have to take permission. All these lands which have been granted by the government, this will have a restriction that you have to take prior permission. Now this word prior permission is more important. You cannot just make an agreement and then go to the registration. You have to tell the government that I am going to sell this land to this person. and please give me a permission and at this rate. Please give me a permission for selling the land. The government will then say, please pay so much amount. We are basically entitled for that. And then the land is, then they give the, once you make the payment, then they give the approval to make the agreement and go to the registration. So this is, for example, if the land is given to some individual, some 30 years, 40 years back, there was no societies. Very few societies were there. And the lands were granted to an individual. And then from individual, you would have sold it to somebody. And then later on, it came to the society. So many people are not aware that their land is a collector land or something like that. It is only when the notice comes, then only they start getting to know. So best is to see what is the original agreement or to see the property card.
There are n number of transfers which have happened from the day it has been taken. Now 2 transfer, 3 transfer has happened. It was never regularized with the collector. And today I want to go for redevelopment or I want to go for freehold. Whether I need to clear all the 3 transfer fees or what is the procedure?
All the 3 transfers have to be approved by the collector and transfer fee has to be paid. So, for example, all the 3 transfer, but the thing is that, say, for example, the transfers have taken 20 years or 30 years back. So, for example, the first transfer has taken place at 2 lakh rupees and the second transfer has taken place at 3 lakh rupees, 5 lakh rupees. And the third transfer has taken place at, say, 20 lakh rupees. So if you see the 3%, the total amount is not very large. But you have to take approval, say, you have to submit all the documents at one go. And directly from the first member.
Adivasi land, what is the difference between Adivasi land? Whether the Adivasi land is a class 2 land or what is it?
Say, Adivasi land is, we are going too much technical and what is, there will be a problem. Adivasi lands are not sellable lands. So you cannot buy lands from Adivasis. And if it is bought, then it is a illegality and it will never be approved by the government. So these are reserved lands for the Adivasis. So there is a problem. People may go and buy the land from Adivasis and then they find that this land is never regularized. It doesn't come into their the property card and Sadhvara is never transferred basically.
Okay. Sir, MCGM, there is a lease which is given by MCGM. Can you put some light on the MCGM lease land and the collector land? What is the difference?
See, the thing is that MCGM lands and collector lands are more or less very similar because earlier the Bombay Improvement Trust was there and they gave lease to various individuals. Most of the lands are in Mumbai city. Now, if you see the agreement, there is some difference. Earlier, the government was giving the land and the BIT were giving the land. The problem in the BIT is, particularly municipal corporation, is much bigger than collector because they issued so many circulars and they are not willing to make the lands freehold. At least here, the government is listening. Maharashtra government is listening. Whereas in BMC, Municipal Corporation, they have issued contrary GIAs. Earlier, they allowed members, transfer of members to the lands grant, to give it to outside people of BMC. Then they said, no, you cannot do it. Now, all the Padre lands that we see of BMC today are basically from the, basically having a Rate Control Act. They are saying that the individual who is there in the society, in the building, the tenant, will pay so and so. But the landholder is being asked to pay a higher amount. So it is creating a lot of pressure, unnecessary, and there is some 40-50 litigations that are there in the High Court. I think this also has to be solved the same way that we have solved.
From Vinod Sampath, and the question is that society transfers the flat without collector permission and endorses the share certificate. Okay. And
Yeah.
what are the implications to such transfer? Even NOC is given by society. So when the society, without taking the collector NOC, they give the transfer, they take the transfer fee, they do the transfer also, share certificate is also transferred. What is the consequence of this?
There is a heavy penalty. For example, if you do a prior transfer, prior approval, then the amount that is to be paid is 1.5% of the whatever agreement is there. Or if you don't do it basically, and you approve the membership and then go to the collector and then you say that we have already transferred the flat and we are not taken your approval, then the amount to be paid is 3%. So supposing 1 crore flat is there, if you take prior approval, it will be 1.5 lakhs. And if you don't take prior approval, then it goes to 3 lakh rupees. So now that, say earlier we were contesting this, there are people, there is an issue that whether this, the asking of collector is legal or not. And we find that there are judgments which have said that this transfer approval is not legal. Unfortunately, nobody has gone from the occupancy lands and challenged it. Most of the challenge has come from the lease landholders. It would have been better that some societies would have gone and challenged the collector. But now what we are seeing is that it is better to go for conversion once and for all. Let all the pending transfers, get the pending transfers done, make whatever payment is there, get it freehold, and make the payment and all that.
Part of the land, Sunil Apte has asked, in our case, we were granted a patch of land for access road. The land was granted in the year 2006 for 30 years lease. So part of the land, patch of the land has been given for access road. The land was granted for 30 years lease. Now, what will happen after 30 years?
So there is a year of 2012. Now, all these lands which are given by the government, supposing, say, 1965, the land has been given. And 30 years land, which means by 1995, the lease is over. The 2012 year says that automatically all lands which have been granted by the government will be deemed to be renewed till 2012. That is 31st December 2011. These rental fees have been specified. Now this is under challenge. It was challenged in the High Court, and then in the 2017 year, they further reduced the lease rentals. As per 2012 year, you give us another 30 years lease. This is how you have to go about it.
Sir, another question. Our building was constructed about 30 years back, and our builder is also not available. Building approval is there, OC is there, everything is there, and it is on the collector land. Now, whether the deemed conveyance is possible in the collector land?
No, in collector land, they don't allow deemed conveyance. What has happened is many societies who have been on collector land, they have gone to the register of societies and they've completed all the formalities. And after that, they went to the collector. The collector refuses to give deemed conveyance. And this is one of the fights we are doing, that the procedure of deemed conveyance itself is not required for the collector. That you go to the collector and tell him that we are in possession of the land for more than 30 years and all that. And since you are saying that you are the owner of the land, you transfer the land to the societies. And this is one big fight we are doing basically. That is one part of it. We will continue. And but this deemed conveyance is not applicable. It's not, say it should be applicable. But the collector is some very difficult authority to make him understand all these things.
Yeah, another question has been asked by Himesh Gupta. What he is saying, the question is, after doing the freehold, is there any more restriction for completing the building?
No, whatever rules are applicable for the collector, the same are applicable. Not collector, whatever rules are applicable as per the BMC, that is the statutory body which is in Mumbai, or whatever authorities are there in the city, other cities and all that, the same is applicable. No, we don't have to go to collector for anything else. The only thing that collector asks is excavation, which is applicable to all private lands and all that.
For the purpose of transfer of flat, okay, application is made to the collector and collector is not giving any reply, the applications are pending. Is there anything called deemed approval by the collector?
Deemed approval for what? Membership transfer?
Membership.
No, there is nothing called deemed approval.
Then what is to be done? We have made an application about 2 years back. Collector is not doing anything. What is to be done?
That is something which we have been following with the collector. Basically.
Okay.
That you are saying that you want to do the transfers first.
Correct.
What we have suggested to the government is that if you find, you are saying that you want the membership transfers to be approved, you give an amnesty scheme. Say instead of, say, supposing my society is about 40 members and 15 members transfers basically are pending. I'll pay 0.5% as amount of the ready reckoner rate, and you give amnesty for approvals, and even for the construction within 3 years. Within that, for 0.5%, you waive off all the conditions and violations and all that. So that is something which I have been trying to do. Let me see how far we will succeed in that. Because now, the paperwork involved in membership transfers and all that, all will go and the government will actually get very good revenue.
There is another request from Manoj Daisaria. There can be some installment scheme for the purpose of payment of premium? 15% premium.
That is something which we asked for, and that it is not there. You have to pay at one go. I asked for that, but I think the government will agree to it. I don't know. We are asking for that.
Okay.
Yes.
Sir, I would like to those who want to ask the question, you can unmute and ask the question directly. Or you want to say something about the today's program, you can give. And before you conclude, tomorrow we have one more seminar at 11 o'clock by Advocate Vinod Sampath, and he will be taking on the cooperative society issues, latest circular, parking issues, and then latest judgments and the amendment in the cooperative society law. So it will be 11 to 12, 1 hour, 30-35 minutes he will speak. Then people will be asked to give a question in the chat box. So going to the next, those who want to ask the question, you can go ahead. Or you want to say anything about today's program, please go ahead.
Yeah, Dilip Agrawal, sir. And this building, builder says 30 years lease will be taken from the collector. Can we go for the occupancy land?
The property card is in whose name? No, property card whose name is reflecting in the property card.
This is the SRA project, and the builder has taken approval from the collector.
But has he transferred the name in the society or something? What is it done? Because if it is in builder's name...
No, builder's name, no, but it must be in the SRA society's name.
If it is SRA society's name, then you can go to the collector and tell him to not do... Say, basically, if it is SRA, then this collector issue will not come because SRA are not requiring much of these issues, but it will be, there is no premium to be paid. It is the property card will, basically the name has to come in the property card. After that, you don't have to worry, basically.
Sir, there are two parts. One is SRA. Now the sale component is the new society is formed. And now the sale component building tower is to be either having the freehold land or lease from the collector.
Say, SRA land is not occupancy land, is not a lease land. It is basically occupancy land. Now, basically for SRA, you'll have to see the property card and how it is been transferred. See, the builder would have transferred to the society. And what are the formalities he has done for that? Whether he has paid the premium or something like that. If it is not, say, basically what I understand is for SRE, he doesn't pay any premium to the collector. And that all the premiums have to be paid to the SRE. So it becomes automatically a freehold land.
My question is, do you require seller's signature? There is an agreement executed, stamp duty is not paid, registration is not done for the earlier vendors, earlier transactions. Now, how will this affect
No, no,
me?
which,
There is one particular
no,
flat
no.
which is sold multiple times.
Uh-huh,
On those
okay.
agreements, stamp duty and
Yeah.
registration has not been done. I don't have
Say
any
the-
trace of seller.
No, that is okay. Say the GR for the transfers states that says it is the names are reflecting in the share transfer certificate. Recently, I had a meeting with the RDC. I told him that what does the GR of 4/5/2018 say? It states that basically the members that at the time of the transfer, the valuation has to be done, and on the basis of valuation, you charge the 3% premium. So there is no need for giving the agreement at all. That's what we have said, and they have agreed to that. So you take the 4/5/2018 GR and show it to them that there is no mention of transfer, what do you call that, agreement, transfer agreement, the sale agreement, and that the valuation, if it is not there, then the valuation, please do it on the basis of the ready reckoner rate at that time.
I
please
have
go
a
ahead.
question. I am Sandhya Jadhav. I have a
Yeah.
question. Land is still
Yeah.
showing on owner's name on property card. Collector land.
Yeah.
Owner is no more now. The society went for
Okay.
deemed conveyance and they got order. But when they tried to transfer the land on a property card on a society name, no, authorities denied that, saying that you need collector's permission. And
That is true.
when they
Say
went for collector permission, when they went for collector permission, collector gave them a letter to pay the penalty of 2 crore rupees, which is very difficult to pay by a small society. It is just 15-member society. And they were not aware that it was a collector land. When they went for deemed conveyance, at that time they came to know that it is collector land. Now the builder
That
is
is the
not there,
problem.
builder is no more,
Yeah.
and the owner is also no more.
That is the problem. That's why when we do this redevelopment or when you purchase the flat, you have to go through the what is the land which is originally held. Whether it is collector land, whether he has done permission, taken permission from the collector. Then when the society is there, the people who stay there, then they start suffering for that. Now I suggest that, first of all, basically the penalty, say the problem with the collector is that because of the lack of knowledge with the people, they are charging left, right, and center. And they
Yeah.
are not putting even the GRs, and even the GRs are misinterpreted. So whether if it is
Yeah.
2 crores, on what basis he is charging 2 crores? We have to
What
verify
the
that. And
yeah.
basically, if these things have to be checked at individual level, you'll have to show me the documents and I can then tell you whether this. But the thing is that this 2 crores amount, if it is 30-40 years back, then I think it is a very high amount. And one has to go to the court and all that.
Oh, okay. And maybe one more question. If required, we'll have one more session also. Today it is now already 12:15. I think we should conclude. I'll just write also on the dashboard so that you are all aware what is my mobile number. I am CA Ramesh Prabhu. I am CA Ramesh Prabhu and my mobile number is 9820106768 and email is rsprabhu13@gmail.com. Whatever question you have related to cooperative societies, you can simply send here. I will forward it to Vinod Sampat. I think we should conclude the meeting.